Welcome back to I Did This Instead of Killing Myself, a stand-up comedy podcast in Greenville, South Carolina. My name's David. It's the week of April 3rd, 2023. Hope you're having a good start to your Monday. This is episode 99, almost to 100. And thank you so much for listening, tuning in, all of the episodes. I've been thinking a lot about... since we started, because coming up on 100, it's like, that's a lot of freaking episodes. That's a lot of time. And I want to, we're still, every week, we're still getting, at least 100 people, 120, 200 people that are watching. And a lot of times I don't really think about who's watching or why they're watching. I just make these, we do the interviews, and then we put them out. But, it means a lot. So thank you for listening. And I've been doing a lot of therapy lately. And you'd have to be stupid to not ask why the podcast is named after suicide or like all of the anxiety that must be behind doing something like that or naming a show like that. I've been doing a lot of deep digging. And I kind of wanted to recommend a book for anybody who is like me. Because one of the reasons I had such a hard time doing the show to begin with, because I was really afraid of even starting something or really afraid of being myself or putting myself out there in any way. And I was so not wanting to, but then I just said, screw it, I'm going to do it anyway. And I guess lately I've been better understanding why I'm like that. And it's kind of this sort of not feeling really, I don't know. I've had this thing since I was a kid where I was not loved or didn't think I was because I wanted to just people please. And I kind of had this overachiever, perfectionist pattern that I've had for 30 years. Never really thought for myself until I was 31. That's a lot, okay? So, and I don't know if anybody else is out there like that. If you are, though, if you kind of have that people pleaser mindset, a couple of things. One, you could read this book, The Drama of the Gifted Child. It's so good. Oh my gosh. It's not necessarily, like, everybody has some repressed shit. Not necessarily for people that have they may not have obvious physical, sexual abuse. I never had any of that. But if you have that perfectionist mindset and you have these things where you're just so worried about other people are going to think of you, this really helps deconstruct that. And it kind of occurred to me that's kind of why I started doing this and wanted to be my real self. So a couple of things. Yeah, check out that book if that resonates at all with you. And also, if you have something you've started or wanted to start doing, do it. Don't wait for permission to do it. Make something. Who gives a shit if it's bad? A lot of this isn't great, but we just do it. And it's been the most fulfilling thing ever for me to start doing comedy and doing this show. So I wanted to say that. And don't shit on yourself. Don't cringe at your own shit. Give yourself a little love. If you didn't experience it as a child because you felt like you had to perform to get it, you got to let that shit go. Oh boy. Oh boy. So yeah, that's me being vulnerable on a Monday. I burned 4 minutes and I'm have the intro to the show to do, but I still wanted to share that. So anyway, and if you don't feel loved ever, just know I love you. Yeah. If I don't know you, certainly everybody in the comedy scene I do. And you're enough, you know? Doesn't matter what you do. All right. That's mushy. Anyway, let's get on with the introduction of the show. I love our guest today. Speaking of self-love, very funny guy. Been on the show before. Our guest today, Brad Deaton. Brad's from Walhalla, South Carolina. He's done comedy for 2 years. I've known him since he started. Goofy guy. He's kind of got a goofy voice and a goofy laugh. Kind of sounds like Goofy. Very active and ambitious in comedy. He produces shows. He produced a show at the Palmetto Distillery in Anderson. Also at the Oconee Community Theater. Brad's style of comedy, combination of likable Southern charm, contagious stage energy, personal stories, and oh my God, did he actually just say that? Brad's hilarious. In addition to writing and performing stand-up comedy, Brad is a musician, DJ, TikToker, and author. He actually wrote a children's book. How cool is that? Speaking of putting yourself out there creatively, that's the real you. His children's book, How to Shave a Zebra, is available on Amazon. Link below. Check all the links to his socials below. On this episode, Brad and I reminisce. We talk about a horror story of a show the two of us were on where we both bombed, and the audience hated us, and we actually I overheard an audience member shitting on us, and yeah, fucking hated that guy. We talk about that. We talk about reflections on cringing at our earlier comedy, like when we first started. Story of Brad's interview on Access Carolina. Brad talks about the logistics of booking a comedy show. Talks really funny story about a nightmare show he and Ryan Rubin did at an old strip club in Iva, South Carolina, where violence broke out. And a lot of other stuff too. Brad's great interview. Got tons of stories. We had a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed the interview. Follow Brad at the links below. Check him out. Hope you enjoy. All right, before we get to the interview, here's what's going on this week in local comedy, the week of April 3rd, 2023. All right, tonight, Monday, Coffee Underground, hosted by No Expectations Comedy, Craig Holcomb, Travis Thubbin. That's a 7 o'clock show. Comics get there at 6 to sign up. Tuesday, Sharky's Pub, 8 o'clock. Comics sign up at 7:30 or 8. Hosts Callie Pasfume and Amelia Nelson. Also on Tuesday with the Art Bar, hosted by Patrick Fowler. That's in Columbia, 8:30 show. Also on Tuesday in Asheville, we have The Odd at 9 o'clock, hosted by James Harrod. On Wednesday, we have Radio Room, hosted by Adam Schulte. That's an 8:30 show. Also on Wednesday, we have Tom Emmons presents Swamp Rabbit Comedy, open mic at the VFW Post 9273 in Piedmont. 6:30 show. That's a great show. I got to guest host this week at the VFW. Very cool. If you're in town, don't have time to drive to Asheville, or you don't want to go to Radio Room, or you could probably hit both Radio Room and the Piedmont one. Performing for the vets is really cool. So anyway, also on Wednesday, we have the Disclaimer open mic in Asheville at 8 o'clock, hosted by Kerry Goff. There's no jokes out loud this week on Thursday. Friday, all jokes aside, at Habiba's Mediterranean Restaurant, hosted by Dante Anderson. That's a 9 o'clock show. And this weekend at the Comedy Zone, Thursday through Saturday, we have Dominique. She has one show on Thursday, April 6th at 7 p.m., 2 shows on Friday at 7 and 9 p.m., and 2 shows on Saturday at 6 and 9. Tickets available at greenvillecomedyzone.com. All right, that's it for local comedy. Love yourself. You're enough, dude. All right. Hope you enjoyed the interview. Have a great week. Here it is.
Pay it a little bit.
Yeah, dude. I made you walk up the steps.
Yeah, man. I'm out of shape. You can't do that to me. I'll fucking die.
When you called, you were already on the 5th floor. I was like, well, yeah. I don't have to go down now. So that's good.
I was marathon man in that, man.
Welcome back, Brad Deaton, to the show.
Hello.
The best dressed podcast guest we've ever had, easily. Actually, Jalen might have had a tie on one time.
Fuck Jalen, okay? I got the whole suit
You
on.
heard it here first. Brad Deaton says, fuck Jalen. That's how we're...
This is gonna air, and I hope to God Jalen texts me and says, "Hey, what the fuck, man?"
I don't know if Jalen watches. I haven't seen Jalen in a while. I miss him. I haven't seen him at Comedy Zone. I don't know.
I haven't seen him. We're supposed to be on that show. I think I got him on a show coming up, so I should see him then. Yeah, I hadn't
that's
seen
right.
him.
The last show we did together, Jalen was supposed to be on it,
and his car broke down.
And his car broke down.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it actually.
See, that's why I'm dissing him for his drip and saying I'm better dressed because he ditched me.
No, we're totally kidding. We didn't mean F Jalen, but we love Jalen.
No, Jalen's awesome, man.
I miss the guy. But that was a fun show.
No, it was a good time, man. I love the fact that you heard somebody leave and say about me and you. Okay, so to tell a story to anybody listening, which means just my mom that's going to watch this a couple times and text me how cute I look. You look so handsome on that podcast. I watched it again. Like the one person that gives a shit what I have to say. No, so we do this show, and it's a very Southern crowd. And after the first show, I walked back and David kind of looks at the guy and says, fuck that guy. And I was like, what that guy saying? He said, well, I heard him when he was walking out. He said, wow, the headlining comedian really saved it. Because those two first comedians, me and David, sucked ass. And I was like, he can just go back home and watch NASCAR and watch the cars go left.
I got
for a while.
so pissed when that guy said that. I got so mad. I mean, it was fine. Like, it wasn't. Okay, we had clunky sets, but Southern crowd, they were all there to see Shelly Belly, and it's brutal because we were in like the green. It was at Palmetto Distillery, which is a great show that Brad runs, and like the green room is backed by like the big distillery like. Things, equipment.
You can smell the fermenting like potatoes and stuff.
But there's no wall separating where the audience is sitting and where we were sitting. So like this guy didn't know I was right there and could hear him, and he was a Shelly Belly fan, and God bless Shelly Belly and everything. I mean, she's great, but they weren't there to see my style of comedy. And I mean, you're Southern, but like the dark edgy stuff, maybe I don't know what it was, but the guy was like. Man, he went to his man, Shelly Belly, she saved the show. Those first two guys weren't any good. And I was like, fuck this guy, dude.
Man, I'm
These Southern pieces of shit.
Well, I told what I actually said to David is I said, he can go back home and jerk off to Jeff Foxworthy. I don't give a shit. And like,
go fuck his cousin.
And I don't, and I don't mean that. I love Southern. We're in the South.
We're in the South.
Real fucking careful.
It really hurt my feelings.
Well, it does. But and by the way, you were like, he didn't know I could hear it. That guy didn't give a fuck if you could hear or not.
Probably not.
He was
probably not.
You'd been like, I heard you, and he would have been like, good, David Bakker.
I know. No, all due respect to that guy in the audience, but fuck them too. Cause
well, no, you have. Well, and that's exactly it. I mean, and you've been doing this long enough. I want to go ahead and comment on, like, I watched my show the other day getting prepared for this, and I saw me talk about, like, I've been doing it for not very long at all when I did that podcast. And I went back and watched me go, well, the thing about, I was like, you don't know fucking shit about comedy. Like, shut up.
That's a good point. That's like what we cringe about the most is like when we talk about the theory of comedy or something, especially early episodes, is like,
well, you sit there.
We don't know.
Well, that's progression, right? We learn from whatever we're doing and hopefully get better at it. Yeah. It's the same thing as I mean, for me, and I know that you probably did the same thing. When I go back, I went back the other day and watched my first set.
Did you?
And I remember thinking, man, I did great. And I went back and watched that set, and it just cringed, right? And it was good. I mean, I was proud of myself of how confident I was for it being my first time, But at the same time, I was like, nah, you fucking sucked that first time. But I think that comes with anything. The further you get into it, you look back at years when you did it, when you're early years and stuff like that, and think, wow, I could have done a lot of things different.
For sure, man.
But as far as that, you've been doing this long enough to know, like, different crowds laugh at different things. I think we talked about that. Like,
and the second show, there's two shows that night. The second show went much better for both of us. I mean,
well, I have a different memory of that because I watched the set, my set when I was leaving of the second show because I got 45 an hour on the way home. So I always listen to my set to see if there's anything I could catch or how good it was. And it actually was a ton better than the first. I felt like the second crowd was better than the first. Maybe
you mean the second show was better?
Yeah.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying it wasn't much better.
No, it was much better. It was. And partly because, I don't know, first show, we were kind of feeling our way through it and like not just going in. But like the second show, I pushed back more on the crowd.
Well, I did too. And one thing.
And just had a don't give a shit kind of attitude, and it worked a lot.
Well, honestly, with that show, we've been doing it for over a year now, and it has. I mean, it's taught me a lot of things. That was the first time I ever hosted. Was when I started doing the shows, and it taught me a lot about that and warming the crowd up. But also, like, I realized how much different the second show is compared to the first, and especially at that place. I mean, the second show is always more lively and more audible. Like, you can see sometimes the first show they're having a good time and everything, but the second show they want to mess with you. They drink a little bit more. It's a little bit later at night. I don't know. It always seems to be a lot more fun for me, honestly.
For sure, it was a good time.
Oh, by the way, I was going to give you shit. I told you I was going to give you shit.
That's what I was going to say. You were going to give me shit.
Because I think it's funny. You're talking about looking back at early things and changing out through the years and stuff. I've watched the podcast since you start doing the early episodes and stuff.
Thank you for watching.
And then went and like watched the other day when I was getting ready to do this. I went and watched like the one with Travis Thubbin. But first off, like at the first of you doing this podcast, like you're happy and chipper and everything when you started this podcast. You're so like, you're smiling. And then I click an episode that's recent and it's just you sitting at that table going, you know, why the fuck am I doing this? This is why, you know why everybody should stop everything. Life is meaningless. Like you're just like, I'm like, this has broken. Like comedy has caused David to have a mental fucking breakdown.
Yeah.
This is so funny. You look at the person like, we have a great guest coming in.
Great show today.
Guy. And you're like, what is life? You're like, what is life, man? Like, fuck everything, right? Like,
oh, gosh. Yeah, I forgot I do that. Yeah.
Then I clicked on the episode of you and Travis Thubbin, and the first 15 minutes just had me in a depression. It was like, I mean, like, why are you doing anything? Like, comedy should stop. Like, what makes us think we're worthy of people's time and laughter? Right. And I was just like, I might go home and try to start my shotgun like this.
Yeah, dude. You're right, man. That's the good and bad of like having the intro. Because like, I don't know. I like to do it because it's just like this is still current. Like this is like this week. So, but yeah, dude. Sometimes you just vent. You're like, what the fuck? Why are we doing this? What is going on?
It's such an odd thing to get used to, right? Like this is fun. I like this because me and you were having conversations, and kidding around, this, that, and other. And it's two friends sitting in the living room, and we just got like microphone penises shoved in our faces. Yep. Other than that, it's not weird. It's just like we're having a conversation. It's not weird. But when you're sitting there trying to make a fucking TikTok. And you're sitting there like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this with my voice. And why the fuck am I doing? I'm in my basement. My dad's in this room. I can hear him watching like Friends. And I'm sitting there like, hey, everybody, I want to tell you about... that wasn't good. Okay, I'm going to do another one. Hey, everybody, something funny happened to me the other... And you feel like an asshole.
Yeah. TikTok editing is weird. I haven't done like a normal one. Like a normal like, hey, TikTok. Or like the ones that are TikTok. Format. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we'll put clips on there, but you feel weirder doing TikTok editing?
Oh my god, not the editing, just like filming them is the thing. Editing it is fine because I can look at it from an analytical standpoint and be like, oh, this is how I could make it better. I can like trim it but as far as filming it. First off, I'm a 4-year-old man that looks at his wife and says, honey, I'm going to the basement to film a TikTok. Like there's no
Did you tell her that you're going down there?
Yes. I have to make time. I have things to do. Like,
yeah, you got kids, right?
I have a kid. Like,
one kid.
Oh yeah, I got the vasectomy straight after the first.
I'm so sorry. I forgot how many.
No, don't be sorry.
Okay, but you gotta like. Okay, honey, I'm going downstairs. I'm going to the basement.
Because I'm neglecting something to do that. Like, I'm not mowing the grass so I can film a TikTok. Like, I'm going to put off weed eating. I'll get it tomorrow. I really need to go downstairs and stitch somebody's video.
Yeah. Like, God bless your wife, man.
She's
amazing.
Yeah, she probably just stays upstairs and just contemplates being like, he's a very good man. He's a very good man. He takes care of me.
It's okay.
He's sweet most of the time. He doesn't even beat me that much.
Yeah. He doesn't even beat you. Oh yeah, sorry. I was just
not that much.
See, I'm not even phased by the awful shit Brad says sometimes.
I know. I said try to start my shotgun, and you didn't flinch. I was like, I was really hoping to get a reaction.
Oh yeah. Well, I named the show after suicide, so it's whatever. Dude.
I loved seeing you on Fox News and seeing them say, you have a podcast. And I was like, he's going, oh shit, here it goes. And you said the name of it. And she's like, just rolls with it. And I was like,
Yeah, thanks for watching that too. Yeah, they let and you've done that morning show, right?
Yeah,
Access Carolina. So what we're talking about is Fox Access Carolina. They spotlight local businesses and they let local comics go up and promote Comedy Zone or whatever they do.
Dude,
Funny Friday.
They were so funny. They were so nice, is what I'm trying to say. They
Yeah.
were really like genuinely like the. I don't know which news anchor. I think it was the same one that interviewed me.
Yeah.
And she like when I pulled up, I got confused and went around like the wrong way and came to the back of the building where my GPS led
Yeah.
me. She came out into the parking lot and came to my car to show me in and was really nice. Walked me out when I went to leave.
Yeah.
Super sweet.
When she did my interview, I was like, She didn't want to say the name of the podcast. She didn't want to say it. So I had to say it. And then she had to say it at the end. Like, follow him and I did this instead of killing myself. Like, she doesn't comfortable even saying. I can't believe they let me do it, honestly. With that's what I was
promoting
thinking.
the podcast of that name. I was like, well
when I was watching the interview, that's exactly what was going through my mind. Is like, are they going to let him say the name of his podcast? Like, if I had a podcast and went on there and they were like, oh, Brad, promote your podcast. I'm like, yeah, you can follow my podcast at I like to rate my dog.com. And we have a show on there every week, man. I try to do it, you know.
Yeah. I love that it made her a little uncomfortable. It was fun.
Well, it probably made the name of the show even more worth it. It was like, I made this sweet woman who's just trying to do her job have to say, I did this instead of killing myself.
Right. It was fun. How did you like the experience? Didn't it feel kind of cool? Like you have to wait in the green. Did you wait in the green room before they give you the mic and stuff? I was like, holy shit.
Dude, I'm going to tell you something embarrassing as shit about that, though. It's not anything that was that like anybody knew. I only told my wife this too. So I walk in the green room and I told her when I got home, I was like, I felt a little awkward. And she's like, why? I was like, at first, because they take me in the green room and introduce me to this guy. And the guy's got like really nice hair and he's a really, really nice guy. And he shakes my hand. And I'm thinking I'm about to get hair and makeup done. So I think that this guy's like the hair and makeup guy. We're talking and stuff. And then like, I didn't say anything about that. He has no idea I thought that until if he watches this. Right. But like, I felt like I was like, what kind of asshole am I that I thought I was going to get like hair and makeup done? Like
Did you ask him?
No, God, no.
So are you going to powder me up?
Powder me up. And he was like, are you hitting on me? Like, is that a come on? Are you trying to?
Dude, that is so funny.
And I think I told you this story, and I just think it's such a funny coincidence, everything, because I get there, we come in the studio, and she says, "Do you like 80s cartoons?" And I was like, "That's an odd question, but yeah, I mean, I like old cartoons." And she was like, "Well, we have on today one of our guests is the guy who voiced Destro in the 80s, what's it called, G.I. Joe."
Ooh.
And I was like,
the G.I. Joe cartoon? I remember when they like parodied those in the
2000s. Yeah. Like, what was it? Community. We talked about Community last time. They parodied it one time. But anyway, so I get in the waiting room and this guy comes in. He's like 70-year-old black man, and he sits next to me. And I say black man because it comes in it's very important to the story. Because there's no way that me and him are related. And that comes in very important. So he sits next to me, and this guy's just got this very deep voice, and he's very professional, very nice guy, and we're talking. And I instantly stick my foot in my mouth because I said, "What got you into voice acting?" And he said, "I am not a voice actor. I am an actor. There are no voice actors, only actors." And he said it like that. And I was like, oh, shit. I've already pissed this guy off.
What a douche thing to say.
It is a douche thing to say, though.
You know? I mean,
so, but he says that, and I was like, okay, yeah, no, I get it. I mean, and then he was like, I just say that because I have to correct that a lot. There's a misconception. And he goes on these, really like long-winded kind of rant stuff.
It's
he
a voice
asked me, he's
acting role.
like,
That's objectively true.
Yeah, and he was like, and I get where that comes from. It was like a little bit odd for me because I didn't, I was like, it's what, I don't know. But he starts talking. He's giving me like advice. He's like, you're a young comedian and you should do this and that. And I guess at some point,
advice? What advice did he give you?
I can't remember what it was. It was pretty much, I really think I was blocking it. I was really like, is this happening? Like, I think the whole thing in my head is like, this is an odd situation like that I'm in right now. And I can't remember the conversation, But I started saying something back. Like I went on, because I'm long-winded anyway, if you can't tell. And so I go on and like tell my opinion on the subject we're talking about. And I guess he liked it because he goes, you're coming out with me. You're coming out with me. When I go on, you're coming out with me. And he looks at the guy with him, and who's a younger black guy, and he says, wouldn't that be a great idea? He's a comedian. He's asking his opinion on this. I'm going to take him out there with me. We can riff off each other. This will be funny. And that guy was like, I don't know, man. And he's like, no, we're going.
No, I don't want to. Or were you thinking you?
Oh, I was thinking, no, I don't want to piss off the people that invited me here. Just walk out with this guy and be like, I'm going on now. I'm going on. Me and him are going to do a bit that you have no idea about. And this could be. So, and then he said, yes, you're going out with me. And I told him my name. I said, I'm Brad. I introduced myself. So now during this, he goes, you're going out with me. And I'm going to tell him that you're my little cousin, Brian. And I was like, Brad? And he was like, yes, okay, Brian. And I was like, all right, I'm just kind of going with it. Somebody comes in to mic him up. He goes, Mike Brian too. Brian, my little cousin's coming with me. And that guy's like, all right. Like, okay, sir, and doesn't mic me up. He's just kind of going along with him because he's like, this guy's a little crazy.
Jeez,
and so,
dude.
Guy starts coming out. As he's starting to walk out, I think we're done with this. And he goes, come on, Brian. And I was like, all right, man. And I like get up. I start following him out, and he walks in the studio, and he gets in there and instantly announces, this is my little cousin, Brian, and he is coming on with me. And they look at the young black guy that's with him and said, nice to meet you, Brian. And he said, no, not him. And points at me, and everybody is confused. Like, everybody is like,
nobody laughed.
I don't
like,
understand. And I'm standing behind him going, I don't know what's going on.
Jeez,
like,
dude.
I don't know what's happening either. And they're like, we know that's Brad. We invited him here. Like, did you adopt him?
Yeah.
Like at some point?
Yeah.
And like, I just got, and they said, he can sit in here while you're doing that. And I was like, I'm fine. I'm really, can I go back to the green room?
Yeah.
Now? Like, and I
like
escape out.
Just got bullied into that. Just said,
yeah. And then I'm backstage with the guy that I originally thought was my hairdresser. No, he was a cool guy. He does whiskey and stuff around here. And it really awesome how me and him started talking, and we're watching the guy on the TV in the corner, and he looks at me and says, guy's a little centric, right? Like, yeah, nice way to put that. And we're watching it, and then he goes, and I tell him the story about me calling that guy a voice actor. And right after I say it, you hear him on TV go, see, some people would say I'm a voice actor, but that is wrong. And I was like, and Sam, that guy in there with me, goes,
I want to find this interview.
Sam looks at me and says, you pissed that guy off, didn't you? And I was like, he's not letting it go, dude. And then he goes, I brought my little cousin Brian with me, and starts pointing around the studio. I'm not in there. And he starts pointing around. And that woman is very much trying to save it and bring it back to like ground, and like, okay, you're doing a convention this weekend, right? And he's like,
So she immediately changed the subject.
Yeah, but it was hilarious. But later, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I think me and you talked about this.
Yeah.
Huge Spider-Man fan. And I'm later looking him up, seeing what else he's done. And he voiced Venom in a Spider-Man video game that I used to play back in the day. Yeah, he voiced Venom in the Ultimate Spider-Man series or video game that was on PlayStation 2. And I used to play that constantly. I still have a copy at the house. And so I was freaking out. I was like, I didn't give him sign anything. Like, and then it hit me. I was like, I'm Venom's little cousin, man. I'm Venom's little cousin. Like, I'm going to get that tattooed. I'm changing my name to Brian.
You want that guy's autograph?
Oh, my God. Yeah, he played Venom. He could have sat there and looked me dead in the eye and said, I've killed multiple children in my life. And I've been like, can you sign? Yeah, right here.
Did you get a photo with them?
No.
Oh.
No, nothing.
I want to find this interview. It's got to be on Access Carolina.
It is.
What's the guy's name?
Oh, my God. I can't remember.
Your hero? You don't remember his name?
I can't remember my hero's name. But I've been indoctrinated into
G.I.
his
Joe
family.
voice actor.
For Destro, yeah. And I'll send you the guy's name. But yeah, I looked him up. He's done all this voice acting. He's actually done a lot. But the Venom thing killed me. I was like, that is so awesome. Especially I have this story now where like...
Yeah, and you played that video game.
Oh yeah, I called my friend. We used to sit there and sit around his house and play it all the time when we were like in high school. And I was like, dude... I'm Venom's cousin. He was like, are you on drugs again? Like, I was like, no, I gotta tell you. Like,
yeah, Dude, that's something.
It was funny. It was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, these stories, get in showbiz.
Yeah,
you get these fun behind the scenes stuff.
I constantly tell my wife, I was like, she'll say something, and I'll be like, I'm a famous comedian, and this is not how I'm going to be treated. And she was like, you run a show in Anderson.
Yeah,
she's like, I don't know, like
show though.
And then she constantly says, and she's like, and that's the only one you mostly get booked on. I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
Shit. I mean.
It's just a fun. I'm just.
I love that show though. It's one of those rare shows that it sells out every time. Like or has high ticket sales every time.
I couldn't tell you how. I mean, like it was just luck of the draw. It's been awesome.
Really
it's
taken
been amazing.
To it, you know.
Well, and the venue's been. It's awesome to find a place that not only just like allows you to do comedy there, but wants you to do comedy there, right? Like, for sure. Because we've done shows places where it was like, okay, you can put on a comedy show, and like they're not really supportive of it. This and this place is in contact with us every month, and we've come in and had meetings with them about how to do better, what things we want to try.
Yeah,
and they've been just super supportive, had our back on every idea that we've had. And it just worked out. It's been working out. Knock on wood, because it's just gonna like something bad could happen. No, but we've got lucky with it, and it's awesome. We get these amazing comedians in the area, and be able to work with them, and then come on and
it is a great crowd. I actually feel bad that I was so hard.
No, and that's
that was more projection on the self hatred.
No, it was kidding around, and
it's a good show,
and sometimes
a good crowd of people. We just.
And crowds are different every time, right? In any kind of venue. And that's what I was talking about too. I'm by no means shitting on those people or something like that. Because me and David even said last time on our on your podcast when we were talking, we were saying something along the lines of, you never go on stage and get off after a bad set and think the audience was wrong. Because that's not it.
It's us.
It was it sucks to have to come to that conclusion. But anytime I bomb and stuff, it's not the audience's fault. And even that night, it wasn't the audience's fault. They were there for something that I wasn't quite providing. I wasn't the kind of humor, this, that, and other.
Yeah.
I mean, I could never say that. But no, I have had times where, oh my God. And I don't think I've got to tell you this story. And you might have seen it on Facebook because me and Ryan talked about it a lot on there.
Yeah, maybe. Hit me with it though.
The Ava thing. We had a show in Ava, right?
Where?
I don't want to say the name of the place, but it was
in what city though?
Iva? Yeah, never been there before this either.
I've never heard of that.
And I tell you, like, when I was leaving work that day, I was like, listen.
Iva is South Carolina?
Yep.
Okay.
So I was leaving work, and I told him, like, I was working over, and I was like, man, it's like 5:30. I got to get out of here because I got to be in Iva. My boss looked at me and was like, I know that's a lie because nobody goes to Iva. Like, why are you going? There's nothing in Iva. And I was like, well, this is going to be interesting then. And we show up in a place, you could instantly tell that used to be a strip club. And
nice.
There is a piece of wood on the ceiling covering up where the pole used to come from.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be something. Like,
right.
There's no urinal, just a trough in the bathroom. I was like, this is fucking great.
Nice.
And what's so funny, Paul Snyder was on it, and Paul walked in.
Paul.
And
Paul Snyder from Charlotte.
Paul Snyder's fucking hilarious. He is amazing. Him and Jazz Gill was on it too.
Oh,
yeah, and she had fun with it. But they're amazing comedians. And I love booking them on stuff. And so Ryan's hosting, and then I'm gonna be the opener, and then featuring Paul, and then Jazz is closing it out. Paul comes in, and like you see him looking around. I was like, "What do you think, Paul?" And he was like, I think I might have to get you to send pictures of these places before you book me. He said, did I do something wrong? Because I was doing the Palmetto Distillery with you, and then Oconee, because Oconee's another room of ours, community theater. Yeah. And he said, I did that one. Those were great. Now I'm in Iva, and I don't know if I pissed you off. Like, and I'm laughing. We're kidding around about it. Yeah. So Ryan starts to get on stage, start the show. He runs up there, and it takes a minute sometimes to get the crowd into it. There's nothing against that. Sometimes when you get on stage, people are finishing up conversations, and it takes a minute to kind of get their attention. And so I'm thinking, like, it had that bar roar, right? That
were there TVs on?
Real loud. No, just that. Everybody, just loud people, drunk people talking. And some people were sitting and everything kind of, and I couldn't tell anything because my back was the audience. I'm watching Ryan. I'm right in the front. And I can tell it's really loud. He's like the same. He's got a microphone, and I can still hear them at the same volume as him. And I was like, well, this is rough. And I was like, so maybe
you got to take control.
Yeah, I was like, he's gonna win them into this, and he's doing his material, and he's trying to get them into it. And then 3 minutes goes by and nothing has changed. And I'm like, okay,
no.
All right, this is rough.
You had to follow him?
This is rough. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is rough. This is rough. And now I'm planning on what I'm going to try to do, right? Like I got to go, if he's doing, because Ryan is not an easy person to ignore. Ryan is hilarious.
No, he's loud.
He's loud.
He's like Joey Diaz level volume.
Oh my gosh. And crowd work.
Ryan Rubin, just bam. And they were ignoring him?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, and I could hear some laughs a little bit, but mostly just like loudness. And I was like, oh, this is rough. 20 minutes of that. 20 minutes of that. Ryan's up there, and then Ryan looks at me, and he's smiling ear to ear, and he's like, your turn. And like, I sit there, and Jazz had walked up to me and was like, maybe I should go on next to try wrangle him in, because Jazz is a fucking pro, right?
Yeah,
Jazz can handle anything.
Yeah.
And I am a little bit like, at this point, I'm like, no, I want to see. I want to see what I can do. You
what
know,
ideas were going through your head as you're seeing the audience like ignore him
to fuck with him? I was gonna go up there and play on the situation.
Yeah.
Acknowledge what is happening. Them ignore me. Kind of try to make a joke out of it. The first thing I said is I got up there. I stopped. I looked at the audience for a minute. And I said, I want to thank the whole city of Ivor for being here. Apparently, I was like, and that kind of, I got a little laugh. I started noticing it was a split crowd. Like there was people really trying to hear us, but they couldn't even hear us because people were right behind them and just talking. What had happened, and I realized this later, is that they had let some people that usually come to the bar in that wasn't real, like paying for the show, wasn't there for comedy. Right. And that's not a bad situation. That's not a good situation.
Yeah.
So they're all talking. And so I get more aggressive as I'm going. Right? Like eventually I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fucking do this. And I said, I like did the most offensive joke I fucking have just to see if I could get them. Well, the first thing I did is I looked out at I was telling my vasectomy joke about getting a vasectomy, because I do have a vasectomy. And, I pointed to this one guy and I said, mostly I got a vasectomy so I could make sure that my second kid didn't turn out like an asshole like that fuck right over there. Just trying to like get somebody to turn around and be like, oh, fuck, right? Trying to get the crowds. Nothing. No reaction. The people laughing are still laughing. And I'm like, oh shit. So then I sit there and like, so I start poking at them. I'm like, they can't fucking hear me. I think they're a little all slow anyway. And now I'm thinking in my head, like, how far can I take this? How far can I keep poking at these people before somebody rushes the stage and Will Smith slaps me?
Right.
Yeah, beats the fuck out of me. I'm in their Iowa, right? Like they could bury me and no one would know. And so I'm like, how far can I take the fucking with them thing? And so like finally I tell the most offensive joke I got in the middle of my set. I was like, you know what? Since y'all aren't paying attention anyway, I'm just going to fucking start being offensive as fuck up here. I said, and I don't even know if I want to say it on here. It is super fucking offensive.
How bad?
Go ahead. So what it is I just say, and it's one of these that it's supposed to be offensive. It's supposed to be a one line drop to hit all these little check boxes and make people go, what the fuck? That's so ridiculous that it's funny kind of thing.
Okay.
And I said, if a midget gets an abortion... Yeah, I'm already started on real good ground, right? If a midget gets an abortion, does it change the size of the clothes hanger?
Oh my God.
And I never tell this joke. This is not a joke I tell anywhere because I do not. It's a little too far, right?
I think you probably use the same size clothes hanger because I feel like
I would imagine so,
in the
right?
torso area.
Yeah, like just hike the leg up a little bit and just like they'd have to be like two people to perform that.
I never really knew how a coat hanger abortion was performed. I guess
I don't know.
Did they untangle the.
My mom didn't either. That's why it failed. And that's why I'm here today. I'm gonna get emails about that fucking
if
joke.
You kept it whole, you just stick the hook up and just. Oh my God.
Oh my dear God.
Okay, so you tell that.
I hope people from work don't click on this. No, no, it's fucking, but it's a really offensive. It's supposed to be this thing of like, I don't believe in this joke whatsoever. That's why I'm saying it. I had never even said that joke before. The reason I said that is because I just wanted to see if I could get any fucking reaction out of those fucking people. No, nothing. Still nothing. I go through my set. I'm ending it. I did what I promised myself I wouldn't do because I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm going to leave y'all with a piece of advice. And then I just go, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. The whole place goes silent. Ryan is dying in the fucking front, right? And I said, all right. And I start to go and joke, right back to 100. They go right back up, turn back around. And I was like, this is fucking impossible. So I looked at Ryan after I ended my joke. And I had people, like I said, during this whole thing, it was a split crowd.
Yeah.
There was people that were trying to laugh, kind of pay attention. Ryan's pumping my volume
How
up.
many people are in the room at this point?
Oh, my God. I would say probably it was probably a good 40 people.
40, yeah.
I would say 40 people. More than that, probably, because we had like standing room over here. And then you had people sitting at tables and you had everybody at the bar. And it was a split thing of like Ryan's pumping my volume up and they're getting louder with the volume. They're challenging the volume. So I get off stage, Paul comes up. And I was desperately trying to get him in on this because Paul is... the way his comedy is not loud and abrasive. And I was like, I got to, even if they fucking hate me, so
you do a midget co-hanger abortion joke.
I had to do
and
anything.
Then tell them to shut the fuck up. And then you kick it to Paul.
Well, that's it. Well, the thing is they're not paying. Like, this is bad enough. If I can get them to hate me.
Yeah.
And then I get immediately off stage. Maybe Paul can pull this back for himself because he's so, like, anything to pay attention. He's very likable.
Right? Paul's very. Yeah.
So I wasn't really thinking anything. Still didn't have any kind of effect on the crowd or anything.
Yeah.
And so I get off. Paul goes up. I'm looking around. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, poor Paul. And he's up there trying to bring it in. And and I'm pumping his volume up. And they're going louder. Uh-huh. And then all of a sudden, the fight breaks out.
A fight breaks out.
So fucking barroom brawl, fuck you, motherfucker! Just fucking grabbing, he's dragging this motherfucker out. What I find out later happened is one guy, they were telling him, hey, you got to pay if you're going to see the comedy show. And he was like, oh, I'm just going to stand here. And he kept sitting down there. It's like, get out of that seat. You got to pay for a seat. Right. They were charging for seats or whatever because the guy, they were letting him in there anyway. And he just goes, fuck you, bitch, and throws a fucking cup of his drink in the waitress's face. And then this guy comes out of nowhere. Superman grabs it. He just, bam. And he's dragging him out. And like, Paul is on stage. And then I instantly think, oh, where's Ryan? Because I know Ryan's going to see this and run outside. I'm like, Ryan's going to get shot. Like, so Ryan is
Ryan the type of guy to intervene?
No, he wants to watch the fight. Like, I know he's going to go out there. Like, so I see him. Realize he goes, ooh, fight. And he starts running outside. I'd run up to him and grab my shoulders like, you're hosting. Like, you can't go. Like, you got to wrangle into it. I'm not getting back on that fucking stage. I was like, this is your turn to host. Right. And so, anyway, we're sitting there and we both turned around at that moment and Paul's on stage and Paul goes, I don't like confrontation. And we're dying. And I took a selfie and you can find it on my Facebook page of me and Ryan. I was like, selfie time right when he said that. And Paul's on stage like this. And me and Ryan smiling ear to ear. And the video came out, like, we saw the video, somebody videoed it after, and they knocked that guy out of his fucking pants. Like, he
knocked him out?
No, his pants down to his ankles, and he was like waking up in the video. Like, you could tell they fucked him up. Jeez. And he was pulling a waitress by the hair, like, when everything started going down. It started getting real bad. But then everything wrangles in. And by the way, I want to say the whole thing, and I didn't even mention the bar, but I do want to say, the owner was a very nice lady, and she was very, and she was like, this was my bad. I let people in that didn't pay for the comedy show, and this whole thing happened, and people were coming up telling me this is not this place. People don't fight like that. And I have to give the benefit of the doubt because any bar fights can break out and stuff like that. But so anyway, like,
a shit show.
And we're probably going to do another comedy show there. Honestly, they paid us very well, dude. They paid us well.
I'd love to perform there.
And no, if we do one, you can do it. But you know who I'm going to try to ask? I'll ask him right now because I know actually he doesn't watch this. Probably he's not watching me on here. Travis Stubbins is going to be the headliner if we do that fucking place again. I mean, we're coming in armed. Travis will give hell. But anyway, Jazz gets on after that and saves it. Jazz just goes in it. And it ended up actually with like Jazz on stage. She went up there and she just went, Ivy, you done showed your ass. And it was hilarious. She starts calling it out and she said, y'all gonna shut the fuck up and listen now. And they did. And she started doing her jokes and she's just talking about it the whole time.
Isn't she great, man?
And then she says something comes up about stripping because it used to be a strip club. Somebody said, y'all going to start stripping or something like that because she's got the audience in now and all the assholes already left, you know. So now it's a good time. Yeah. And she says, Brad, you better get up and do your job. I got up and started unbuttoning my shirt and she's like going, in the background started singing and stuff, and I'm stripping and I'm acting like I'm crying, you know?
Yeah.
And somebody, older lady, runs up, starts throwing fucking money, right? And I was like, this might be lucrative. And I was like, this is a strip
Did
club.
you keep the
like,
money she gave you when you started stripping?
she started throwing it in tip bucket. She came up and started throwing it. And then a guy runs out of nowhere. He looking at Jazz. He's pointing at her. He fucking baseball slides in front of the stage and just throws all the business. Shirt's fucking open. And the funny thing about it, too, is Jazz has such a keen sense. So I get down to my last button, too. I'll finish that. Last button, I'm like, how far are you going to take this? Like, how far are you? Yeah, how far? Because, that's one thing I missed, too. While I was on stage, one of the fucking Hail Marys I threw is I looked out at Ryan, and he's laughing his ass off because Ryan loves a shit show, right? Yeah. He's like, this is hilarious because Brad has tried everything he can. I looked at Ryan and I was like, I'm going to whip my fucking dick out. I'm going to whip my fucking dick out. There's nothing working. And like people in the audience are dying. The people that are paying attention, the 5 people that can hear me are laughing their ass off. So anyway, I got down the last button. I was like, how far are you willing to take this? And like, nah. So I stopped and everything. Like people were coming up and putting money in the tip bucket, and I sit down, and that guy comes, comes up. Jazz says something, like playing with her, and now the audience is in. They're playing with us.
Yeah.
And Jazz has a 6 fucking sense, man. I never even got a whiff of this, but Jazz just stops. She looks around the room and she says, hold on. How many of y'all are swingers? And every fucking couple in there went, whoa! And I said, holy shit, how did she point that out? And then there's a guy there, and she's like, which one's your wife? Which one's your girlfriend? He said, this is my wife, 20 years. This is our girlfriend, 3 years. And she was like, good for you. And she makes a joke about joining the throuple, and it's hilarious, right? So then brings it around at the end of the night. Look, it's a good fucking story to tell. Yeah. But it was you have shows like that sometimes.
Dude, that's amazing.
Oh my God.
The swingers bar. And this is in Iva. Iva, South Carolina.
It was fun. But no, I mean, like we were talking about, you have shows that like are really, and that's one thing we do is we have like, there are 2 pillars, which is like, the Palmetto Distillery, which is amazing. Then we have Oconee Community
Theater. Yeah. And tell me about that show. That looks like a great show.
It's really fun. So the way I got into it, I did a play there back in 2013.
You did a play?
Yeah.
What play was it? What part?
So it's called Wrong Window, and I played a guy that wore a wife beater, a tank top all the time, that beat his wife, right? And I want everyone to understand, that is nothing like me. I don't wear tank tops. Okay. That's a joke I did on stage when I did it there. I was like, that's nothing like me. I don't wear tank tops. Yeah, and it's corny. But anyway, so I did this play and I got really connected to the theater. That was like 2013. I started going up there on the weekends. Mm-hmm. I was going to school full time and I wasn't working. So I go up there all the time and help them build sets and stuff. And like, it was fun playing just an angry dude that like beat his wife. Honestly, it really, like, all I did, my dialogue was, "You stupid whore," and like, it was, dude. I had an old woman gasp in the audience one time because the girl I was playing against.
So is this like a drama, like Wrong?
No, it's a comedy.
It was a comedy.
It was a comedy. Absolutely,
it
was a drama comedy. So it's a take off of like the old like. Oh my God, Alfred Hitchcock, I think it was, where they see a murder through the window or something like that. And the whole thing takes place in there's an apartment and you see a window and it's supposed to look into my apartment. And I'm supposed to have murdered my wife or something. Okay. So you see, like, I only had...
So Wrong Window is like you're looking through the window. You're looking through the wrong window.
Yeah, exactly.
That's messed up. You're not supposed to see.
So mostly it's a comical take on that original story by Alfred Hitchcock. And like at one point, what was so funny is like the girl I played against like was really good at acting stuff. She taught me how to do a fake slap and like make it look like I hit her face and hit my side and make it sound like I just slapped the piss out of her.
So you do this and you make a slap with your other hand?
You got to time it. When you start to swing, she'll turn her head real quick and you smack the side of your pants and it looks like you slapped her.
Yeah.
So I did that one time and I had a lady go, like really thought like we were mething. Like I was slapping this person, right? But I did hit her one time by accident. Timing just wasn't quite right? I got a couple of fingers on the chin. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Not bad though.
And she was like, I kind of, no, I'm just kidding. I'm playing. I was going to make a joke of like, actually.
She liked it?
No, actually. No, I'm just joking. That's a complete joke. But no, so it was fun and stuff like that.
So
and
you met some people through the theater through that?
Yeah, so I met the person that ran the play, that directed it and actually ran the theater. His name is Herschel Harper, and he's awesome guy. And his wife, I got close to them and their whole family, really. And so I hadn't talked to him in years. I used to, every once in a while I'd talk to him, and I hadn't talked to him in years, and probably 10 years. And or not 10 years, probably like 8 or something. And he called me up out of nowhere and said, "Hey, want a comedy club?" And I said, "Yeah." He said,
yeah.
He said, well, he called and he said, "Can I speak to the world-renowned comedian Bradley Deaton?" And I was like, "You got him, but I got very limited time for you. I'm a very businessman,
Yeah.
And he's like 70, 80 years old, awesome guy. And he said, "You want a comedy club?" And me and him just got talking. And what he said was he had found out that I was doing comedy and stuff, and they had been trying to come up with ideas because they have a main theater, but they started doing this smaller theater in the building, and that could hold like 110 to 130 or something.
That's perfect.
And he said, "We want a comedy club. We think there's nothing like that around here, really." And we'd love to do something. And I said, yeah. And I told him all about the Palmetto Distiller and what we're doing there. And he said, "Well, I want to, can you replicate that here?" Yeah. And I said, let's do it. Let's see what kind of audience you have in there, and this, that, and other. And the first night we had like 80 people, audience members.
Dude, these audiences you're pulling are
have no
unbelievable.
idea. And like I said, I'm just very grateful. I mean, I have no idea what we're doing. I mean,
what kind of promotions are you guys doing?
Well,
are you advertising in the local community? Are you
So for the Palmetto Distillery, instantly off the bat, that's why I was talking about like having a venue that supports you and actually wants to like make this happen and do everything they can to make it better with you, right? And instantly from the first show, they were pushing the advertisements on Facebook and stuff like that. And I guess those were getting out. And we started getting really good audience members all the way from the beginning. And we thought that was gonna, you think like, oh, first couple of shows they're interested in something different. And it kept carrying over, it kept happening, and we're very, very happy about it. I mean, it's amazing. And with Oconee, it's like they have ties in with like the local radio station, 94.1, I do believe, is the one I went on. So I went on with Herschel the first show we did, and told him that was the first show we did was with me, Ryan Rubin, David Zasloff, and Sauce Got Jokes. And so it was a good show, right? Fun show. And
Sauce is great.
So I went on the radio and promoted that, and a lot of the people that came too are supporters of the theater. Right. So the theater had been closed down for 3 years because a tornado tore it up. They had some weather damage and stuff, so they've been trying to renovate it, and that's where the smaller room came from too. And they have this bar across the hall from it that they did. It almost looks like kind of speakeasy kind of thing, like a diner setup. And so anyway, a lot of people wanted to support the theater. You could tell it was a very old crowd. Like it was very older white crowd. And what's funny is like David Zasloff is amazing, and he's an amazing comedian, and he's very good at giving you advice. And like if he tells you something, most of the time it's right. I mean, it's absolutely on the money, right? And we were sitting there at that show, and me and Sauce was talking about like what kind of set are we about to have? Like, what should we go for? And David walks in the room and goes, what are y'all talking about? It's like, well, we're talking about like what kind of material we should do. And he said, "Oh, clean." Absolutely. 100%. You need to go out there and be clean. And Ryan walks up, and Ryan's like, "What y'all talking about?" And I was like, and David said, "I was saying that crowd right there is a clean comedy crowd." And Ryan said, "Well, this is about to be interesting." Because Ryan's not a clean.
Ryan doesn't have clean.
No, he's not a clean comedian.
Right.
And I'm not either. I have enough. I could clean things up and probably do 8 to 10 minutes of clean comedy, right? Oh, like me and you even talked about that. Like you have to know the room, you have to read the room. And a lot of the shows I do now, and we're in the South and stuff like that, I had to shut out a lot of my darker material. Right? I have to do more mainline material.
And you sound like a Southern person, and they still sometimes can.
I trick them. No, I'm just kidding. Well, that's the thing. Like I was roasted.
I've had to de-darken a lot of my shit over the last couple of years.
Oh, there's so many jokes I used to do that I still love and will do if the moment's right. But I cut out because like I even told you there's an instance, and this is totally my ADD's kicking in. I'm running all over the place, so follow with me. But going off on this rant real quick, like one of the first shows I did at Palmetto Distillery, like it was the third show I'd done there. And I was hosting, and it was Shelly Belly was headlining once again. And you can tell the kind of audience. She's a headlining comic that brings in comics that
Right.
brings
They're
in the
expecting
audience.
to see her. So
Yeah.
they're not
And it's-
always thrilled to see somebody different.
and that's funny.
Yeah.
Like, even like your set the night you performed with her, it wasn't a bad set. It was that it was for the wrong, wasn't for
Oh,
exactly
first
the
set
right.
was bad. Second one was all right.
Well, I'm just saying, like, mine as well. I don't think necessarily like
Yeah.
it was a bad set. It was just I should have, you lean toward that audience a little bit more.
Yeah.
And the first time I opened for her, I just went balls to the wall. I went balls to the wall. I sat there and I did a pedophile joke. And the mistake with pedophile jokes, see, the things with pedophile jokes is it has to be very delicate and it has to be very funny.
That's very good. Yeah.
And I said the word pedophile. And once I said the word pedophile, nobody wanted anything to do with me anymore. Once I said, hey, this guy in my neighborhood used to be a pedophile, they were like, no, we're not going to like this. We're not going to listen to you. And they shut down. And for the rest of my set, which I was at the end of my set, thank God. But for the rest of my set, I'm trying to pick them up.
Yeah.
And my mistake too is like, and I'm like, oh my God, Jess Cooley's coming on after me. Like,
Oh shit.
Jess Cooley's fucking amazing.
Yeah. How did
And
Jess do?
Oh, Jess did good because Jess is unrelenting though.
Yeah.
They want to be offended, but he won't let them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's one of those that just keeps jabbing at them and keeps
Yeah.
chiseling away. He's so good at acknowledging.
Yeah.
He's so good at acknowledging. I understand that you were
I
uncomfortable.
understand where you are right now.
I know you were uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. He is this thing of like playing off of that to make it a joke in its own, right?
Yeah.
Like he'll
Yeah.
look at somebody and be like, "You are going to jump me in the parking lot,"
Yeah.
and he'll make a joke out of that, and
Right.
he'll play off of
just
the
very- yeah,
uncomfortability. He's
for sure.
really good at that.
Mm-hmm.
But my whole thing is like, I gotta set them up for him. Like I can't let him go in cold. Like, and I've just killed the whole crowd. They don't like me anymore. And I couldn't win them back.
Right.
So when I brought him up, I whispered in his ear and I was like, I'm so fucking sorry for what I just did to you. And he was like, we're good. And he walks up there and he just chiseled that. He had a rough go for a little bit because
Yeah.
he's trying to win them back.
Right.
But that's the thing
so,
about like,
so back to Ryan's show at Oconee.
yeah.
When Ryan was like, "Oh, this is going to be interesting." Did
Yeah.
you have any more to that with like?
Yeah. So the thing is like, it's the first show and you could tell they weren't into the dark. Like Ryan got up there. And the thing is to this day, like, and I'm not trying to spill, if Ryan comes on the podcast again, he'll tell this story.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ever like spill his story or something like that. But
No, you tell
it
it.
obviously
We'll get Ryan
didn't
back
go
on.
very well. and that's from him. Like, cause like he got up there and
It didn't go great.
it didn't go great. Like, cause he got up there and he,
Then tell me exactly what happened.
so he gets like Ryan Rubin once again, and telling everybody out there, Ryan Rubin is an amazing comedian. And the funny thing about this
He
too
is, right? It's so funny.
I do want to do a thing of like to preface how bad this one went for him.
I love
The
Bobby
next
stories.
show that we did in Atlanta, he murdered the audience. They were crying, laughing, rolling
Yeah.
all over each other. He killed. And when we got off, it was like, because he was still, he was still broken from Oconee when we did the next one.
Yeah.
So he
Dude,
was
your
like,
best
oh,
shows are after your bomb often.
yeah. And he was like,
So-
okay, now I feel better. Like, because he was like, I've got to wash this stink off of me. And he got up there and killed. But the Oconee show, he gets up there and he instantly stumbled. Like, he went in hot. Like, because Ryan, you have to understand, like, this is a lot of really blue haired people. And this guy from New Jersey gets on stage and goes, fucking, and starts talking about, like, and he says something about, some sex joke. And
Something
like,
about what?
some sex joke or something. And he stumbled on it. And then they smelled blood, and they're all kind of trying to acclimate. And then he started stumbling, and you could tell he wasn't given the Ryan Rubin experience because he's so into it, and he does crowd work, and he's so animated. You could see him start doing the like, the head rub, and I've done it 1,000 times. The head rub of like, oh shit, I gotta get this together. And he came
poor
off,
Ryan.
and so when he came off stage, I said, I recorded your set for you. And he said, fucking delete it. He was like, delete it immediately. And so it took me a while to get him back to Oconee because we were going to co-host us together, right?
Yeah.
And he was going to host the next one. I had an older woman come up to me afterwards and saying, y'all are so funny. It was such a great show. But that guy from New Jersey was a little a little too far for my taste. And I was like, okay, ma'am. And, but no, so Ryan was like, you take this one. I was like, listen, I'll take it for a little while. We'll start, doing it. I want you to come back. And he did. When he came back, he did the set, did it exactly. He didn't, clean anything up really. He just was on. He went out there confident and he did really, really well. And then he just hosted a show there he was there with Ken and Dante. Ken, Dante, and Scooter. Oh my God, it's hilarious because you see photos online of Scooter on stage and these older women taking off his shirt, like pulling his shirt up or something. And I'm just like, they had a good time.
Yeah.
But like, no, it's so funny.
Dude, those bombing stories are so great.
But yeah, and and I'll just throw it in here because we're talking about our or the shows and stuff. Any comedians that watch this that are interested in being on those shows, a lot of people ask me when I talk to them, like how they get on them. It just message me, send me 10-minute clip. That's kind of the minimum we'll take. It's like 10 minutes. You got to at least do a 10-minute set because most of our comedians, the way we like schedule it out is that we do 4 20-minute sets.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a perfect time and stuff like that. And we're going to change things in the future as far as when we have a really, headlining comedian. Sorry.
No, you're good. These go unplugged sometimes.
But a headlining comedian come through. Of course, they'll do like a 30 or 40-minute set and then have just like maybe one comedian instead or maybe 2 or a 10-minute comedian or something. Okay. But anyway, if you're interested in doing the shows, send me or Ryan Rubin a 10-minute video of one of your best sets and just how much time you can do maximum. Yeah. And I mean,
dude, this is exciting. You guys, doing this production stuff.
We're trying to do our.
You go after headlining comedians that are big names, right? Didn't you tell me about how you? Because you told me this. You tried to book Rory Scovel.
I tried to book Rory Scovel. I absolutely did.
So you slid into his DMs,
he messaged me back.
Yeah,
and it was awesome. Well, I was just happy. So there's a whole, and we won't get into all the stuff that preface it. Well, actually, we can. Who gives a shit? There was a comedian in the scene that was stealing material. Yeah. And you've talked about it on your show before and stuff like that. Yeah. And it was this bad situation.
Yeah. He was stealing material from Rory Scovel.
Yeah. So the funny thing about that was he had said to somebody that he didn't think it was that big of a deal because it was working basically, and the comedian and the audience didn't care. And that kind of pissed me off, right? So I messaged Rory Scovel on Instagram and said, hey, just want to let you know, because this is Rory Scovel's hometown. He is from Greenville.
Rory is one of the funniest comedians on the planet, I think.
Oh, he's hilarious.
If
you watch him do these sets where he goes out and he doesn't have anything in mind and he does a whole hour special of him not.
Yeah, he did a special called Live Without Fear. At the Relapse Theater. It's available on YouTube for free if you want to check that out. But I'm a huge Rory fan. I've been watching the other special I've been recommending to people recently is Rory Scovel tries Stand-Up for the first time.
I think
on Netflix. I think, dude, that special. Oh my gosh, I played it for a couple of people, and sometimes if you're really fucking with a comedian, you think maybe it's just me that's laughing hard at this, but I've showed it to people. That special. Oh gosh, to me it makes other stand-up specials look like stupid. In terms of just he plays characters, it's so just ridiculous and wall to wall laughs. Very big Roy fist. That's the guy we're talking about.
Yeah, he's awesome.
You tried to book this guy.
So I slid into his DMs, saying you up, and no, I was I just told him a guy
you up?
in the area was stealing his material, and he messaged back and he was like, man, he was like, who is it? Is this a big comic or and I think I had preference that it was just a smaller comic that was booking gigs with his material though, but it said that. And he was like, is it a local comic in the area? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, this guy's I said, it's not like he's a big comic, but he's booking shows with your material. Yeah. And he said, let me ask you, what material? So I told him what jokes and stuff like that. And, he said, I'm just curious, to be honest. And he was like, man, it's hard. He's like, it sucks so bad when that happens to you. He's like, there's nothing I can even do about it.
Right.
He was like, this is terrible that this comedian's going out there stealing my stuff. He's like, thank you for telling me and stuff. And to be honest too, and I think I told you this too, he's such a nice guy because I was constantly in my head of I don't want to take up any more of this guy's time. Right. And I was constantly well, I just want to let you know, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
And he was like, you touring in the area? doing shows in the area? You riding through?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm from the area. Like I do comedy, but he thought I was a touring comedian. This is the best."
He thought you were a big. He thought you were a big deal.
Yeah, I should have played it off.
Why
I was like, "Yeah,
Why not?
I am. And if you ever need I might be available if you need somebody to open, And I was like, yeah, I'm in the area, and I saw the guy do this, and it was kind of cut it. And then he was like, I really want to get back to doing comedy. He like started opening up and saying, I've been filming all this.
He took a break at this point. He wasn't really touring.
Yeah, he wasn't touring. He was like, I can't wait to get back on the road, man. He was like, I can't wait to do it. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. So, I had a little conversation with him back and forth. And finally I just said, you have a good one, man. And, we cut off. But I was like, he kept messing back. And I was like, dude, this guy's like super fucking. I was like, why is this guy talking to me?
Yeah.
I'm nothing,
Dude,
but
before we move on, so the comic that was stealing material, were you the one that edited the flyer? There was somebody did this.
Oh, it was
a flyer.
me.
It was booked at. It was like a Comedy Zone flyer or something where this person, well, I won't say his name, but was booked, and you put Rory Scovel's headshot
face over
on
the guy's
poster.
poster, and it got around, and I was like, it was kind of on the underground because I was so new to comedy too. I didn't want to piss. I really didn't want to seem like I was just being an asshole too.
No.
Like I was so afraid then. Like even when I came on the podcast, like I didn't know all the comedians in this area. I didn't have a good rapport. I really didn't want to sit there and look like, oh, he's a shit starter. Yeah. But it was funny as fuck, and I don't regret it. This is all
ancient history too, by the way.
Absolutely.
It had been addressed. He
does not do
once that was discovered, and he doesn't really do stand up anymore.
No, he doesn't.
I mean, he was a nice enough guy. I just fucking.
Well,
it's hard to even say that when you steal jokes because that's kind of like a cardinal sin of stand. That's like the only thing we care about.
Well, that's the thing, and the thing about that too is there's comedians that were working really hard to get material to be able to do these showcases he was getting. He was getting showcases to showcase the best comedians in the area.
Yeah.
And he's getting these showcases, and there's comedians that are way better than him that aren't getting this opportunity because he is, and he's getting it off of stolen material. And that's like, that's crass in itself, right?
Yeah,
you can't understand why people are upset about this.
Yeah.
And he just kind of fell off and stopped doing comedy. But and it was, oh my gosh. And you edited, talking about editing, you did something that was hilarious.
Yeah.
You edited a video and you cut back and forth between his set and another guy that he was stealing from set who was on like Dry Bar or something. Yeah. And you switched back and forth and it was identical. Yeah. Identical to the set.
It was a late night set. It was like a verbatim joke for joke. And I didn't share that. I have it though, in case anybody ever wonders or needs evidence.
I thought you did share it.
Oh well, it was. It's a hidden video on my YouTube channel. It's not available.
Oh, okay.
But I just. I want it's important to like prove it because there's no way to prove some of these things. It's like a gray area.
Well, the same
you never
thing.
know what the person's end game is with that. Like, are they going to eventually like just try and get better at stand up and write their own stuff by the time they get to a certain level, or once you start stealing, are you going to just continue to steal?
I don't. There is times. There's subjects that comics talk about that are very close and are almost unavoidable to talk about. It's not, you know what I mean? It's stuff is going to be similar and that's going to happen. And some of us will sit there and like when I was starting and stuff like that, I could imagine sitting there seeing something and being like, oh, that would be funny if I went and did this and like try to change, not did the stand up, but the subject. Right. Like someone says a subject and sees it in a light and it shines something on to something maybe I want to address. And I can see where somebody can mess up and do that. And that wasn't the problem. And the problem was
verbatim stealing
and keep doing it over and over again. And literally like one of the last messages he sent to me, I know, I don't know what to do with my hands. Yeah. I don't know. It just keeps drifting. But anyway, I'll just get real close. ASMR.
Just lick ASMR. The mic.
Hey everybody. I don't want to lick this fucking. After all the comedians that have held this microphone, I do not want to catch something.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
I don't know.
Stealing.
No, but just like the last thing that he said to one of the comedians before he like when he said he was going to quit, there was one thing that he said like when he was on the way out of like. When he went and did that show where you saw him and he did it again. Yeah. And it was the last show he did. And he said to somebody, nobody gives a fuck if I'm stealing. I'm not going to stop. Like, he acted remorseful and then came back with nobody cares.
Yeah.
I can get away with this.
Yeah.
And we were like, and the person, I'm not going to call them out, they said something along the lines of, well, good luck being booked. Like, people are not going to book you if you're doing that, out of respect for other comics that they can book that really write material.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was a weird thing. It was an awkward thing, but out of all of it, me and Rory Scofield are best friends. We are best friends.
Best friends. The lesson is,
I don't know if you saw me at the premiere of Babylon. I was there. I was just
dating. The new movie Babylon.
Yes,
with Brad Pitt and yeah.
And when Rory Scofield watches
so funny
this,
he's in that, dude. It's
yeah,
great. He's
really
a good actor.
He is a good actor. Did you ever watch a show he did?
Yeah.
On YouTube.
Yeah. What is the show called?
It's a name. It's not his character's name, and I can't remember. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I don't want to spin my wheels.
It's not. Damn it. Rory Scovel TV show. Google that.
Yeah, and it was really good. It was him being a basketball coach.
It reminded me a lot of Eastbound and Down, if you like that show.
Absolutely. Actually, that's a really good comparison.
Yeah, because he's like kind of this oblivious, delusional, like ex-athlete coaching basketball, and his dad hates him.
Yeah, and it's really good. And this message goes out to Rory Scovel. Rory Scovel, come to our show. Oh, I didn't even get to that part. I messaged Corey after that. Corey Scovel, you know him. No, Rory after that, the whole thing of trying to book him on Palmetto Distillery, I saw he was coming to Comedy Zone. I know he lives in the area, and I thought, well, he might be in town for a couple of days. And I was like, listen, I know this is shot in the dark, but I would love that. We have this small show, and I know it's nothing like you could do. It's not an auditorium. This is just, I told him how many people it said. I was completely honest with him, and I was like, but it would be so awesome if you wanted to do this, if you had the time.
Yeah.
And he said, when's your next show? And, I had to address that he was going to be in town in June. I said, we could put it anytime. He said, when is it? That's what he said. When is it? And I said, anytime you want it to be.
Right.
I was like, because we would have moved mountains. We were like talking Palmetto, and we was like, we got a nibble from Rory Scovel, and they was like, you want to open at 3 a.m.? We'll open at fucking 3 a.m. Like, we'll do this.
Right.
And, so I talked to him about it, and he asked me when it was, and it just kind of, and then he asked me, he said, you ever been at Comedy Zone? And I was like, yeah, I've been up to Comedy Zone. That's all I said. And it just kind of, I think we went back and forth for a second, and he was like, yeah, how long y'all been doing it or something? And it just kind of fizzled out. Because I wasn't by no means, I didn't want to be like, abrasive or weird or anything. He asked me about Comedy Zone too, and I was like, are you gonna ask me to?
Dude, it's always nerve-wracking, like when you message a celebrity though. Like that's how I got David Koechner to do this show. From Anchorman. I chickened out asking him in person, but I sent him a DM, and as soon as you send it, you're like, and then when they reply back, it's crazy. It's like, oh my gosh.
I used to be odd about that because even like, gosh, I don't know when, I can't name a particular instance, but there's totally been times where I've messaged somebody way out of my caliber that should not like even read my message about something, like trying to get them, like even like I thought about starting a podcast a long time ago, and I was like, I'm gonna see if this guy will do like the first episode, which is ridiculous. I didn't even have a podcast. I was like, I'm gonna start it and I'm gonna ask you to do it, even though I have nothing established. And I always felt ridiculous about that. Like, why would these people even want to talk to me? Am I pathetic for reaching out to this person? But my thought on it now is no, by no means. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
So you might actually, you message a comedian and say, hey, can I open for you? Or can I do a thing or whatever? If they say no, then it's a no. You're in the same position you were in the first place.
Yeah.
If they say yes, you might get a really good opportunity. You might go up there and do something.
Yeah.
So why not? Why not reach out? Why not try to? I mean, I told you the same thing about this podcast. I said
I haven't reached out to very many people,
and I told you to reach out to Rory Scovel next time you see him in town. I absolutely would, because there might be a good chance that he'd be like, "Come to Comedy Zone." You show him the one with David Koechner. Say, I set up in the green room. We can do this.
Yeah.
And he might absolutely do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know. Just tell him my name. Just say Brad Deaton. He'll be like, "Oh shit, Brad!
Oh, we're boys,
my buddy.
dude.
We're boys, man.
We're boys, dude.
We go fishing on the weekends." Yeah. Oh man,
Watches my back when somebody's stealing my shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I won his heart.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man, that's a good point. You know,
that is awesome. I've never noticed that. And
yeah, speaking of
Respect David. And that's Norm
you know what?
McDonald.
I've never shown this on camera.
Show it on camera. That is amazing. That is really cool. And talking, and it feeds into what we were talking about famous people.
It's on topic. Yeah, this is a tweet that, Norm's.
I didn't even read your tweet. Let me read your tweet.
Oh, don't read my tweet.
I'm reading your tweet. Just read your book. Oh, see, this is you sucking Norm McDonald's dick. No, I'm just kidding. Just read your book. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not sure I understand everything you were up to, but damn, it was funny and thought-provoking. Been recommending it to people. They look at me weird when I mention the baby seal execution. That's awesome. And then he says, respect David. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, respect, David, not respect me. Nobody's
gonna fucking do that.
A friend of mine, I talked about that tweet because I loved it and I had it screenshotted. And a friend of mine, she printed it out and framed it and gave it to me as a gift, and that was very nice.
Yeah, and that means a lot more now that he's dead. Is that Norm McDonald would have laughed at that, I think.
Yeah, maybe it's worth something.
Oh my God.
I don't know. No, dude, but those celebrity sightings and interactions are they're really fun.
Did you ever see the thing about Amy Schumer in Greenville?
No.
She said she got accosted by a guy, and you never heard about this? It was a big story it was a big story as long as Amy Schumer was big, which was a millisecond.
Yeah.
I just didn't think she was that funny, and she was a joke stealer.
She was a joke thief. Yeah.
When she was stealing jokes, I told Rory Scoville about that too. He didn't care that much about that.
Another person. Amy Schumer is doing your material. Rory Scoville. So she got accosted by a guy in Greenville.
So that's what she said. She said something about so I don't know who posted first, him or her, but apparently, and the guy has the video. It's kind of weird to walk up to a celebrity with a cell phone in their face. Apparently, she was going for a jog or something, and the guy was like, "Oh, Amy Schumer," and was just so excited to see a comedian. She was doing comedy Zone, I guess, and she like turned around and she was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" But she posed it as if like this guy was like, "Hey," like coming out of the shadows and like grabbed her.
He was just an excited fan.
And then the news interviewed him, and he was like, "I just want a video of Amy Schumer." Like, I really love all these comedians' material that she does, and that was the closest I was ever going to get to him. So.
I'm a huge fan of the people she steals from.
I'm a huge fan of them.
Yeah.
You know?
So this was my one shot to meet.
By proxy.
By proxy.
By proxy. Just shitting on Amy Schumer. What haven't we touched on, David? We shit on Amy Schumer.
I don't know.
We brought up past stuff.
Yeah, we talked about the scandal.
Yeah.
That was funny at the time.
It was It was actually like, I get we're in Greenville. It's boring. We need something. We need something to feed drama into. And that's the funny thing.
It's obviously boring. We do podcasts.
I don't have much drama in my life. So when I say, I like to like peer at it from afar, you know?
For sure.
I like to see the meme. Somebody made a meme the other day and it was two people like smiling, eating popcorn or whatever, or something. It said two comics watching. I think it was Bill posted it. It was Michael Jackson eating popcorn. That was it. Instead of watching two comedians I don't know have a Facebook argument. Yeah. And I was like, I'm guilty of that shit all the time. Like,
well, speaking of like open mic scenes and drama and stuff, I was in Denver last week and my flight was canceled, so I had to spend the night there. So I looked up open mics in Denver. And I was kind of nervous. I don't know. I'm comfortable here and, but doing an open mic in a big city like Denver, I was like, but then I was like, kind of like you were saying, miss shots you don't take, whatever, and don't be a pussy. So I took an Uber there and, there was like a ton of names on this list. It was at this bar called the Monkey Barrel in Denver. And Garrett was the guy that hosted and he followed back on Instagram. It was a really nice dude. But dude, it was weird being in a different open mic scene. And I don't know, have you done any in different cities? I mean, Atlanta maybe.
So I haven't. Okay. And that's the only one I've went to. And that's so weird. Like, and for anybody that doesn't know this, I live in Walhalla, South Carolina, in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. So to get to any comedy, and that's one reason like I love having a comedy show that I host in Seneca. Because it's
right. You're bringing comedy out to people that don't have good access to it.
That's amazing. And also, I hate fucking driving.
Right.
So it's 20 minutes prepared to like coming out here for an open mic. like is an hour and 10 minutes for me.
Process. Yeah.
So I haven't I've been wanting to go to Asheville. I've been saying that ever since I started.
Yep.
I want to go to Asheville
Yep.
because they got a really good scene. The only one I stretched out to do is I went to Athens not too long ago,
Uh-huh.
and they got funny comedians and stuff. It was a workout room. The guy told me that too. It's
Yeah.
like he was like, this is more of a low key kind of show. There's not going to be many audience members. He
Yeah.
was straight up with me,
Yeah.
and I needed to go work out some material anyway.
Yeah.
So I went and did it, and yeah, it's funny.
It's fun. Yeah, I mean, it's well. Here's what I thought. Like seeing it, 20. Gosh, there's probably like 30 plus names. I had to wait 20 people almost or 15 or something to go up, and I was just watching, and it was like they were really good. Like the joke writing was good and everything. But the thing I noticed was like open mics are the same everywhere. Like it was kind of a workout room, and they had probably like 5 or 6 real audience and then like 8 comics or whatever. And they would kind of come in and out, and there were people writing jokes and stuff. But it was the same shit. It was the same shit. Even the people were the same. I felt like I was in Bizarro World episode of Seinfeld. You seen that episode? When Elaine meets a different version
and
of
they're
Jerry
all so
Kramer.
nice.
And they're nice, but they're similar. And yeah, they're also nice they're like the opposite kind of. But I was like, dude, I know this host. This host is like exactly like James Harrod in Asheville. I know this guy. Like I didn't know him, but I kind of knew him. And then they had like this, kind of big dude going bald with a beard who was just like unhinged kind of. I was like, dude, there's Travis. There's like another, and like I don't know. It was like the comedy. It was weird that it was the same game being played all over the country. And
I imagine you would have the same. I mean, I don't know this, but you could tell me if this is true. I would imagine that you would have this situation where you'd have different comics that tried the same kind of material. Like here you have comics that go up and try to be super edgy, and then you have the people that do the Southern humor, and then you have the people that try to do all the crowd work. I imagine you have those kind of people in every area.
You do. Yeah. You have like the weird kind of alternative type of, style where they're kind of doing a character. You had a lot of very smart comic. I mean, you had smart jokes delivered with this kind of tone of voice that was very dry and sarcastic. And that tone of voice was pretty consistent on a lot of comics I saw. Really good joke writing. But it was still just stand up. It was crazy. And I don't know, maybe that's like self-evident and obvious to people, but just to see it somewhere else, I was like, man, there's the same kind of.
That's pretty cool.
It's not that, well, yeah, but I was also like, it's not that special here. It's like the same.
That's awesome. Is you get the opportunity to like try to find mics in different states when you travel and stuff like that. That's awesome.
I mean, you get nervous too because you're like, is the stuff I've prepared not going to work? So part of me was telling myself like, look, these are just jokes. This is the same. So don't psych yourself out and try to change it to where you're trying to be funny how they're funny. Just do what you're doing. And it went fine. It was a good set. It was fine. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. But also I was like, this is the same. Like I didn't have the energy. Like if I just discovered this for the first time, I'd probably be like, I want to talk to all these people. I want to like get to know. But I was like, I didn't even have the energy to like network at that point. I was like, you know what? Yeah, this is great. This is great. But yeah, I don't have the,
Well, that's good. I'm glad it went well and stuff like that. And also, I mean, you shouldn't psych yourself up about going out. It's the same thing. But also, I would want to know. Like, I'd be like, if I'm this far from home, is my stuff still relevant? Is there something?
It's just you at the end of the day.
Well, exactly.
Like, will they understand me here?
Heck, I worry about it because I've cultivated my comedy based upon Powdered Mad Distillery for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of, and that's really the truth because I do this show all the time. Just like Ready Room is one that always sticks out to me because I could always do really edgy material in Ready Room.
Yeah.
And when, and it go good. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I couldn't do that material somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's just, and the rooms are different. And it's a very odd thing. It's very cool.
Sure. Yeah. And Denver, I mean, the other thing about it too was they definitely more PC, I think. A little bit more like if it was on a political spectrum, a little bit left. But not that. I mean, they had some savage comics there. But yeah, it was cool. I mean, all the stuff, like they had inside jokes, amongst the comics. They would like, make a lot of noise for the last comedian. The last comedian was going up. They'd all bang the chairs. This is the last comedian. And they'd be like, oh.
That's cool.
And they were having fun. Dude, it was a cool scene. But also it was the same. And so it's like part of you, when you start somewhere, you think that this is special. This is the only place this kind of thing happens. But it happens elsewhere. It's kind of like going to like an alien planet or something.
Yeah.
And they're not that different from you.
Well,
that was kind of cool.
That's like we were talking about the surrounding areas, right? Like, I mean, when I started doing stand-up, the first time I ever did it, and I think I told you, I kind of explained it the last time, so I won't go over it again, but it was this moment where I was like, I've been talking about this forever. I really want to try this. I'm going to try it. I'm 30 years old. I'm going to go try this.
Yeah.
And so I looked up, like, I think there's a comedy club in Greenville. I look up Comedy Zone, and I'm like, they have an open mic on Thursday. Awesome. I'm going to go to that. And so then that's when
you observed first? Or
no,
did you perform?
I was like, I'm going to go pull the Band-Aid off. I need to get on the stage.
Guts, man. Yeah.
So I went there and I do it. And then as you're talking to the comedians, you realize, like, you think this is this really niche thing that is only happening. You could barely find it. But the fact of the matter was every comic was like, I should come to Coffee Underground. You should come to Radio Room. There's an open mic here. There's an open mic there.
There's a whole underground network.
If you want to go to Asheville, they got 3 open mics that happen a week there. You don't want to go this way to Atlanta. There's open mics there. Really, really awesome open mics down there. From what I hear, I haven't head out that way. But what I'm saying is, like, and even Athens, I happened to stumble across like some Athens comedians.
Yeah.
And realize this place, Athens, has a comedy scene within itself. I mean, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to kind of see it cultivate itself. I mean, it's laughter, right? I mean, everybody needs to laugh and like get away from life for a second.
And the comics are the same, probably. You know, whatever dysfunction the comic has to like compel them to get on stage. Like, you're around like-minded people, you know, or at least in that way, they're wanting to express themselves and subject themselves to public humiliation.
Exactly.
People who have,
Well, that's what hit me about you and Travis's conversation while I was watching your podcast with him, where he was like, you got to be a little conceited and think you have something worth saying to do comedy or this, that, and other. And it is like, and it's not even just that or whatever, but it is this funny thing of that's the thing that goes through your head when you start to go on stage. Even, and I know it probably goes through your head now. There's
imposter syndrome that that's self-doubt.
There are times where I sit there and not being cocky or anything, but I'm like, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah. I'm doing good. This is good. You know, and I got good laughs. I feel on top of the world. And then there's nights or days where it's not like I have a show or anything where I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, am I funny? Sure. Am I even funny? And I start like dissecting everything, getting down on myself. I'm like, why do I think I have something to say that anybody wants to listen to? Yeah. And then I thought that one time, I thought, man, am I pulling back the curtain? And when I go on stage next time, this is going to be very apparent to me. And I'm just going to be like, y'all don't need to listen to me. Yeah. Why I'm imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome,
is a great way to describe that.
For sure. It's, you don't want to stay in that place for too long, I don't think, though, because like, F it, man.
Well, I think self-awareness is important to comedy. It's also important in our day-to-day lives anyway, right? Like,
it is. But at the end of the day, you know, just don't overthink. Like I tell myself this all the time. Don't overthink it. And like if you're hearing laughs, just be honest about what you're hearing. And then if you did good, be okay telling yourself you did good. You did good. And you know, enjoy that and then just keep fucking doing it. Really, just do it as much as you can and keep doing it.
Well, and we were talking about last time I was on the podcast, and I like I said, I watched it the other day, my whole thing. Just
did you?
See, I did. Yeah, I watched my whole episode.
I appreciated you saying like you've because I wouldn't have remembered everything we talked about. So
I was trying to say because I have a bad habit is I will tell you 7 stories the same way.
I love that you brought stories, bro.
I'll sit there and tell the same stories, and so I was like, I don't want to touch on the exact same thing again if I'm going to do this. And I watched it again, and I also watch it like once a week to masturbate to. I'm just like,
I jerk off every week.
But like, actually, what was funny is a buddy of mine walked in. I was at work and I was on break and I was watching my YouTube video. I was on lunch. I'm prefacing all this in case the boss watches. I was on lunch break, and I was watching this video, kind of, you know, and listening to it in the background. And my buddy walks in and asks me what I'm doing, and he looks at my computer. He goes, "Are you fucking watching yourself do a podcast you did a year and a half ago? Like, what the fuck?"
He was doing show prep. What the
fuck is wrong with you? And I was like,
nobody feel comfortable.
I was like, I'm fucking funny, dude. I was like, I don't know what you're. No, but And it was what was it? God damn it, I had a point to this, but there was something I said, or me and you touched on in that. Oh, that was it. I said in that podcast, at the end of my doing the podcast with you, I said, "Yeah, I have 25 minutes solid or whatever." And I watched myself say that, and I was like, "You stupid fuck! Like you don't have 25. Like you barely have. I have 20 solid minutes right now.
Yeah.
I have the longest that I've ever done is 24 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But it's like I was watching myself say that, and I was like, and at that time, the longest set I'd ever done was 10 minutes. So I was like, how the fuck are you pitching this out? Like
I'll pull some Brad Deaton stories out.
Like, you're an asshole.
I can crush 20.
Oh my God.
No, that's cool, dude. Yeah.
Well,
watching your own YouTube is funny. I got embarrassed recently because I have my YouTube app on your TV.
Yeah.
So it shows your like YouTube search history or whatever. And we were like here with friends watching something, and I've watched, like, I'll check my clips on there sometimes to see how they're doing or whatever. So in the search history was David Bakker. In the search history, I was like, yeah, I YouTube myself, fucking. And they were like, he was like, David, you YouTube yourself? I was like, shut it off, bro. Like,
so I thought where this was going, we were like, I brought a girl over, and I was like, let me put something on the background. And like, she was like, put on your podcast. She's like, is that your podcast? You're like, shh.
Wait, watch this part.
You're like
right here.
kissing her neck. You're like, man, I'm so fucking handsome.
Oh,
you're like,
my.
You're fucking looking at the screen. You're like, God, I'm so fucking smart. You're like in the middle of sex. You're like, tell me I'm a good podcaster. Tell me I'm a good podcaster. Oh, another thing we talked about last time too is you were asking me like kids and like life, and stuff like that. And I have a story for you. I think you'll think it's funny.
Okay,
and
good.
It's definitely
story about your kid.
Yeah, definitely a parenting fail. So I love my daughter, and she's got the biggest personality in the world. She's so sweet. And we were sitting there, and so the story, it's weird anyway, because we were watching TV and something happened. I made a joke. Like, Luke, I am your father, or something was on something. She was like, I don't know what that means. I was like, oh, of course, you've never seen Star Wars. You're 6.
70s.
So I show her like this video of like something about Star Wars. And I think she was trying to make a joke, because she goes, it's when Darth Vader cuts Luke's hand off. She goes, he had 2 hands and now he has 1. And I said,
she flipped you off?
Yeah, she had that finger up, right?
Yeah.
She was counting. And I said, honey, yes, but I want to let you know. I did my dad voice. I was like, I want to let you know, that you can't, when you do that, you need to do this because this means something bad. And she said, yeah, like, hey, fuck you! That's what she said to me.
Dude,
she said,
she watches,
she says,
man.
like, hey, fuck you. And I said, what the hell? And she said, she starts laughing. She's like, I'm sorry. And then she goes in this cute voice, I'm sorry, Daddy. I didn't mean to. I know that's bad. But I was just explaining. It's like when you fuck you, And I was like, I'm just frozen, right? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. And so what had come out, how she figured it out, she had, I guess I let her watch these animal like videos on YouTube, and on my phone I like played this animal compilation, and in one of the fucking animal funny videos, the guy like flips the dog off and says, hey, fuck you, to the dog, and the dog chases him. So I didn't know this was going to be in there, so it is all my fault. And so then like we're already in it, and I'm like, like, and I talked to her like she's an adult. I'm like, you can't fucking say that, right? She's like, yeah, I know I can't fucking say that. Like, no, she didn't say. But then I called my wife in the room, and I was like, hey, Thea, tell mommy what you just told me, what you just told me. And she goes, I was like, you won't get in trouble, I promise. And she goes, hey, fuck you. And Caitlin just goes, what? And I was like, I didn't teach her that. I want that I didn't teach her this just for a fucking joke.
Say the darndest things.
Oh my God.
Bill Cosby.
Oh my God. The funny shit she does, and like being full self-aware. And kids are like that anyway. Like, I have this thing, especially when I was younger, like when you talk to a kid, you change the tone of your voice. You're like, hey, little buddy, how you doing? How's everything? And there was this 12-year-old kid that was a niece of my sister's, or nephew of my sister's friend or whatever. And he was over at the house, and he is probably like 11. And I'm talking to him, and he was like, I went and played soccer. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. That's really cool. That's awesome, and being real positive in the way I speak. And he stops, and he goes, do you think I'm stupid? And I said, what? And he was like, do you think I'm stupid? You're talking to me like I'm stupid. And I'm like, oh shit. And I was like, and I broke down everything. I was like, I was real with him. I was like, I'm sorry, man.
Dude, that's funny, man.
I was like, I wanted to be real positive because that's the way I usually talk to kids and everything.
Yeah.
But I get it. You're really mature, man. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do you like that. Like, let's go get a beer.
Like people do that to old people too sometimes. Like really old people, like people at the nursing home. I remember my mom used to say that to like, great grandparents. And she'd like talk loud like, hi, we're here. We love you. This is your son. Like, yeah, I fucking, yeah.
She's like, yeah, I fucking.
Don't talk to me like I'm mentally
incapacitated.
Yeah. But it's so funny the kid called you on that.
Oh, he called me.
You think I'm stupid?
I was like, man, fuck it. I'm sorry, dude. Let's go get a beer. You want to go to a strip club? Like, shit, let's fucking hash this out. Like, you're cool, man.
That's funny.
You know how to drive stick? I'm going to get wasted. I need you to drive me home. Like, but it was, it was funny.
Well, dude, I'm sorry to cut we have,
shit.
I'm supposed to get
you
got a show coming up tonight at Social Lounge. You're going to fucking murder, right? You got, who's on that show? Adam?
Oh my God. It's Adam's hosting it. I would have to pull up my phone to tell you everybody because I didn't memorize names, but
you're good.
I
did a show there at Social Lounge. It's pretty fun.
This is I think
Well, Yasi organized it. She booked this one.
So what happened? I think is so Adam booked me for his place, and I'm blanking on the name of it.
The Flat,
and I hear that's an amazing room, and something happened with the date or something. He said, okay, let's go ahead and still do a show. I guess he booked it or talked to Christine.
Yeah, and, Christina Yasi.
Yasi. And
good vibes. I did a show there with Scooter and Christina and one other guy a few weeks ago. It was fun.
That's awesome.
They're kind of they're a bougie crowd.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh, we'll see. I may whip out my abortion jokes.
Yeah, dude. I mean, hit these people in the face. They're a little bit like you get them to loosen up.
I got the suit on.
You got the suit
on.
I
got the fucking suit
bougie. On. Yeah.
I look bougie
it's in a gentrified warehouse. They turned into shared office space and people pay to be members there.
Okay.
So that's kind of these people.
I've never been there. It should be a great show. It's gonna be fun. By the time this airs, it would have already happened. I'd invite you. I'd invite you all.
If I could publish this instantly, if this were live, you could.
If you didn't have to go back and edit where I talked about, the abortion joke,
right?
No, just kidding.
I'm not editing anything.
No,
F it.
Fuck it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get called into HR and they're gonna be like, "Did you go on a podcast called I Did This Instead of Killing Myself and talk about midget abortions?" And I'm like, "It's a real issue no one addresses, so don't fucking come at me."
Yeah, it's a real question.
But no, honestly, no. Thank you for having me. I love doing this. Anytime you want to have me on,
want to shout out? I mean, we talked about your shows, the Palmetto Distillery, Oconee Theater.
Last Friday of every month, Palmetto Distillery, we have an amazing show going on. It sells out. We do double shows.
Last Friday of every month.
Last Friday of every month.
Yeah.
This next show coming up is going to be Ryan Rubin's hosting it, and it's going to be Zalata Cass. I think I'm saying her name
great.
right.
I love
She's
Zalata.
amazing, dude.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
Her and Lanny Farmer, and headliner is going to be Robert Weems. And Robert Weems knew the area, or he went to California for a while. He lives in Atlanta now, and he did stand up he went on national tours and performed for the troops. Nice. He's awesome.
Check him out.
So we've been getting some bigger comedians in. The Oconee Community Theater, that's another monthly we do. It's usually the first Friday of every month. It kind of changes. So you just kind of got to be on the lookout for that. We usually announce it. Follow me on Facebook to see our dates, and Instagram, Brad Deaton Comedy.
And we try to shout out the shows. I don't always catch it, but on the intro to this podcast. So if you're listening to this, you should hear, those shows.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I got the one that you and Scooter were on. I remembered to get it, but yeah, those are good shows, and they're not too far because Oconee's like what 40 minutes from Greenville.
Yeah, no, it's not that far from Greenville. It's about 40 minutes from Greenville, and it's a good show. It's right near Clemson. Honestly, the Oconee Community Theater is like right next door to near
Yeah.
Clemson University.
Yeah. And
So-
Palmetto and Anderson's not bad either. It's not a far drive.
and it's an amazing place, and it's good drinks. It's cheap, good
Yeah.
drinks. I mean, it's really. I mean, I'm trying to plug the hell out of it, but it's an amazing place, and we're very happy to be doing shows there.
Mhm.
And we got a new thing. We've been Ryan's been doing him and Chris Wilson, and we're trying to do more of it. It's Funny or Fired. We've been doing
Funny or
that,
Fired.
and it's really good.
Yeah, you just had the second iteration of that.
Yeah.
Was that at the same place he had it the first time?
Yeah, I think we're going to be moving venues. We're trying to we're talking about we're in talks with a couple of things about doing it in different places and
Okay.
stuff. I can't really say right now. It's
can't
under the house.
disclose it.
You know, Roy Scoville. Oh, I'm not name dropping again on my buddy. No, but seriously, this was awesome. And if you want a TikTok, Brad Deaton Comedy on there, and
Link below if you're watching on YouTube. Click all that.
David is fun as always. This is awesome. Thank
All
you.
right, check Brad out. Thanks, man. See ya.